Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Jenny Brekhus joins us. She's the Ward 1 City Councilwoman for the Reno City Council for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're pleased to welcome to the program Jenny Brekhus. She is the councilwoman for Ward 1 in the city of Reno. Jenny, pleasure to have you on the program. Sorry for the circumstances, obviously. This is a completely different interview than the one that I envisioned when I first contacted you. So let's start out with, first of all, your thoughts on where we are as we tape this with the whole coronavirus situation in the city of Reno.
Yeah, I mean, the city of Reno, the United States, the world, it's unprecedented in our lifetimes and possibly even the lifetimes of others that we knew, who lived generations before us, who we had contact with. So we're in really new territory, and the most important thing with April 6th is just very critical safety and at the individual level, preventing ourselves from getting infected, and then in our own households, looking after neighbors, and then the future that comes next. It's going to be a different future. It's It came on very fast, and we'll be looking at a new future for our city, our region, our state, and I think there'll be national implications, huge.
So let's start with the city as it is right now. I would presume that one of the greatest needs is going to be people having enough money to buy food, because even though the federal government is moving for the federal government at warp speed, it still appears it may be a month or even longer for people to be able to get that first $1,200 check to be able to help relieve them. What discussion, if any, has there been so far about helping citizens get food if they need it?
Yeah, well, right now we are operating at all levels under emergency mandates and emergency responses. So we have the Regional Emergency Center is stood up, and it's along a paramilitary lines with, a command center and then different branches. And some of those branches include the human services element, and they are working with the nonprofits like the food bank and so on with food. You're correct. The federal government has at this point adopted 3 bills. Some people call them stimulus. They're really rescue packages, and it's anticipated that there'll be additional ones coming forward also. Those should, over time, soon, hopefully, bring the $1,200 to the individuals who are eligible for that. And then the unemployment also is starting to, kick in, and that's a state function. But that's all moving forward to provide this immediate relief. And of course, we have the eviction and moratorium mandate from the governor also.
What are your biggest concerns right now?
Well, I think the number one concerns for us at the city level are, one, making sure that our workforce is safe and able to do their job. They're seeing, and most of our workforce is police and fire, obviously, but making sure that they are safe to do the jobs that they are called to do. There's been some changes in some of the activity levels that they have, very quickly shifts, so they're having to retool for that and then retool for the emergency operations that they have to do. So keeping them safe to do the jobs that they need to do are very important. The homeless, unsheltered population is a big consideration. I think what's going on in this emergency situation, it is at all levels amplifying where systems don't work well now. They work even more poorly in an emergency crisis. And you're seeing this from our fractured healthcare system in America, all the way down to very specifically our dispatch operations that we've always recognized had some flaws, and those are also being shown and demonstrated through this. I think there's workarounds, but it is difficult times. So our workforce to do the job that they're doing, the sheltered population, and then also starting to think about our abilities on the budget as we recognize the economy's deteriorated, and that's going to come over to us also. And then the fourth is really making sure that the healthcare network is taking care of those who are falling ill, and that's a private system that we have in this region. It's distributed among different providers, but making sure that those tools are there to care for the public are really the big focus right now.
You brought up dispatch. Is that a connectivity issue between the various services, fire and police, between the county, Sparks, and Reno?
Well, it really is related to the REMSA, the contract with REMSA. REMSA is the private ambulance response provider, and they've had a very, they're a contractor to the Board of Health that is a regional entity, which is, like you said, Reno, Sparks, Washoe County representation. They have a contract, and one of the things since I've been on in 2012 is there's been changes to that contract. It was for many years evergreen, so it never had a sunset date. There is a date where it will sunset, and then I think there'll be able to be a regional workout to really understand how to retool that. But they are a critical component. It's just when they dispatch, the calls go to them first, and then that dispatches over to fire, and it really needs to be dispatched first and foremost to our Reno dispatchers so that they can sort through what sort of response is needed. It's always been a problem that when it comes in and it goes over to the REMSA dispatch, the Reno people aren't on that line, and they roll anyway because that's what they do. They're responders, but it needs to be a central port of dispatch and information gathering from the caller. And under the contract terms, we just haven't been able to fix that one, and I think that's causing some concerns. And actually, we have a council meeting on Wednesday where we're going to get a little bit of an update on that and possibly have some understandings of having the fire responders go to only what they recognize on those initial calls are very high priorities right now.
The budget situation, obviously, we're going to see across this country massive cuts to local budgets. What are your biggest concerns there as you look at, and I know this is the very earliest stages, but what is your biggest concern there?
Well, it is a continuation of a pattern that is now amplified. Coming on in 2012, during the depths of the recession, when the city had laid off a third of its workforce, we've been in struggling times. We still have fewer firefighters and police officers than we had a decade ago, and we're a growing city. And a lot of that is related to property tax policy in the state of Nevada. So here we are now, and I have been preparing always for a rainy day in my approaches to budgeting at the council, in my reluctance to bring on debt to the general fund. And so, we've taken on a little bit debt this last year, but we're in tough times. I mean, layoffs of police and fire would really be untenable to doing those essential services right now. And if we don't get an infusion, and it's going to have to come from the feds, I'm not entirely sure how we're going to get through that. I have talked to our budget director last week. She thinks in the short term there's some movement around that we can do, possibly pull some revenues from the workman comp payments that we have. We've got a little bit of room in there, some of our health insurance fund, because we have a health insurance fund, and then possibly taking away from some of our priorities, paying for and storing away money for some of the post-employment benefits that we have. We put in 2012 some very good fiscal policies of protection and long-range planning, and we've been meeting and working toward those goals. But in this crisis, we might have to go to those and move off of those policies in the short term until we see if rescue packages are going to come to shore up local government operations. And so it's going to be a very challenging outlook and world out there for the city council on these budgetary issues.
And when you were talking about post-employment, you're talking about retirement funds that the city would be putting away towards retirement for employees, correct? But and short term.
Yes, because we, obviously we have a share of the employment benefits that our retirees get under the big PERS system. So that's a consideration that we have, and we also have healthcare benefits that follow some employees. We've moved off some of those benefits over the years since I've been on in 2012, as many local governments have, and the cost sharing now is more shifted to the employees. But we still do, obviously, that's how the municipal workforce is treated in this country. They have these pensions, and those are ongoing obligations of any local government entity. And so trying to get those to be fully funded are kind of the grand holy grail of local budgeting, to not have to have a good store of that money, so it's not a looming and growing liability on your books year in and year after that cuts into your local government operations each year.
There was some controversy with Kevin Dick, the head of the Board of Health, who stopped briefing people because he said there was some leaking in terms of meetings that he was holding with various stakeholders. Are you comfortable with the level of briefing that you're getting from the health department at this point in time?
Well, the health department, like I said, is a creation of the cities and the county. The city council sends an appointment over there. I'm not that appointment. Our manager, who has the strong executive administrative authority in the city, she works peer-to-peer with him. And then he now is folded into the regional emergency center. And I think some of that has been fleshed out. I think when this first came forward, it was seen as a healthcare crisis, and the Board of Health was the strong central person. And maybe there was some resistance to bring that into just one of the fold of the overall emergency. But I think we haven't lost sight that it's a healthcare crisis. They still have a role, but we have to move into this bigger command center that is mobilizing in different forces. And so I was on that call. I find those briefings helpful. I didn't really see, I read the article the next day. I didn't really hear or see anything that seemed problematic. It actually, to me, seemed positive to have that information come forward, that there's scenario planning and worst case scenario coming forward. So I didn't really focus on that too much. I usually err in more transparency, more leveling with the public. And so I just did see a big story on that, to be honest.
All right, let's take a break. More with Jenny Brekhus on the Reno City Council when we come back.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Ward 1 City Councilwoman on the Reno City Council, Jenny Brekhus. Jenny, the Renown Medical Center is taking over part of its parking garage now to convert it into bed space. And as you know, the discussion has been that over the next couple of weeks, and we're taping this on Monday, April the 6th in the morning, that over the next couple of weeks we're going to see potentially the peak of this epidemic. Are you comfortable that we are in a position to handle this?
Yeah, you know, as you read about other places where they're having just tremendous difficulty that came early, it doesn't give you a lot of confidence. But, you know, like so many of things related to cities and regions, perhaps having that knowledge, particularly in America, seeing how cities, what they've had to do, maybe gives you a little bit of learning curve. I want to be optimistic. I think that we're not being caught by surprise as, you know, maybe areas that, you know, got hit earlier. I think that we didn't have a big gathering of like St. Patrick's Day and Mardi Gras, where I understand a lot of infections occurred. I think that we're benefiting possibly from a lot of the California lockdowns because a lot of that traffic stopped, and we are somewhat a little bit isolated here as a region, and so maybe we haven't had as much infection. We don't know. We will see. The healthcare field is not my area of expertise. The city doesn't have a, you know, it's not a community hospital. But you know, hopefully it is sized up to the population when what unfolds. That's, I think, the number one thing is are we sized correctly? I'm a nurse's daughter. My mom worked in community hospitals the whole time I was growing up. I've always had a perception for the region, that size of region that we are, that we do have a good variety of number of facilities, and hopefully they are all moving and going to be able to take what comes forward, you know, for us.
My conversations with hospitals in Las Vegas is that they are ramping up to 50% above normal bed space to be able to deal with the potential of what's coming.
Yeah, and I have a friend who works in UCSF down in San Francisco, and they've made some very early pushes to get people out of the hospital, and you know, that was to free up that space. It's not necessarily great for some people who probably should be hospitalized under other conditions, and I think they were even thinking about bringing some of those folks back, and people are going to have heart attacks and other needs to come into the hospital, but hopefully they've done all those precautions, and like you said, are making those overflow precautions in the parking garage and so on to bring on the additional beds. So we'll see. I hope that we have done the work and the general population to keep things down and, flatten the curve, as they say.
All right, let's take another break. We'll be back with Jenny Brekhus after this timeout.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Can't do it. Stupid, like my mom.
We can't do anything at Mommy's because you won't pay child support.
Dad said you cheated, and he's not even sure he's my dad.
Mommy said you left both of us, so she isn't gonna let me see you. I look just like my father.
I'm divorce attorney Marilyn York, and I may represent men, but hate has no gender, only casualties. Please, stop sacrificing your children in your war against your ex.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Reno City Councilwoman from Ward 1, Jenny Brekhus. Jenny, for another day, we're going to talk about elections because you are running for a third term and you have a couple of well-funded opponents. We're going to do a primary here on the program, but we'll let time take care of that. We've got more important things to talk about. But you have certainly been one who has looked at the community and perhaps felt that we were growing too fast. And as you look at the situation we're in now and you look to the future, where do you think we're heading?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we were growing fast. We were high growth. A lot of that is related to state policy, the fueling of the Tesla tax subsidies and so on. And that was in the last governor's, desire to jumpstart our economy. And it brought challenges to the city of Reno, particularly as our region expanded and has expanded. A lot of the easy developed land that is very readily served by infrastructure has been used up. And the land that, as we grow out, is up in the hillsides where you have your fire risk, or out in these terminal basins like in the North Valleys, where you have very difficult infrastructure challenges in the removal of effluent and so, it's been a big challenge. We have about 15 million square feet of industrial buildings going on up in the North Valleys, which is still flooded, and no idea how to get rid of the effluent up there that comes from the imported Vidler water. And those are going to come with big price tickets. So my representation of Ward 1, which is primarily older areas, is making sure that the costs of expanding all this infrastructure, particularly on the sewer plants, is not shifted onto the ratepayers of Ward 1, and that they're getting the maintenance of their deteriorating infrastructure, whether it's sewer or roads. And that really is the challenge. It's not a two growth focus, it's a focus on doing the growth right to make sure that you're not depleting the services, the patrols, the ability to provide the services to your older areas as you expand and bring on growing areas. So that's been the big challenge. I think it's really going to be anyone's guess on what moves forward from here on. I've been working for close to 3 decades now as a city planner and on local government. This will be the 4th cycle I've seen, and I've never seen anything like this. It will be a new cycle. We just don't know what it's going to play out. I hear that they are busy in the community development department, obviously taking in permits. Obviously, the governor did not stop down construction, but it's going to be a big play out, and a lot of it's going to have factors outside of the city, such as the lending environment. And then, of course, the market demand is a choice of any individual builder or developer, and we'll see where that goes. These 15 million square feet, or some of them are million square foot, distribution centers that bring in stuff from China. That's the size of a Meadowood Mall to distribute goods from China. So that's probably going to be as much of a factor on these exterior choices than anything done at the city council. But it will be interesting times, and I'm optimistic. We're a great place to live. We always seem to come together as a community. We have a lot of good new energy here. People who have moved here recently, people stay here. They love this place, and we will be fine. We're going to have hard times all across this country, but Reno is, I think, going to be fine. But it's going to be it's going to be tough for a while, and I'm hoping that to continue the leadership that I've proven to be able to represent the neighborhoods and be thoughtful about these larger growth issues.
And we will have you back, and we will debate when it is a better time. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Sam. Stay well.
Thank you, and you too. And we'll be right back. A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
You can now watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for Nevada Newsmakers and become a subscriber. We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching and listening.